Top versus bottom. If you look at the IPL points table in these early days of the tournament, the Delhi Capitals all set to take on the Sunrisers Hyderabad in Abu Dhabi. It is early days, but the Delhi team has a bit of a swagger about them. They've won 2 out of 2. Sunrisers, perhaps a little concerned that they've lost 2 out of 2. Should make for a fascinating pre-match show on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket Info T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. There's no bottom level analyst on this show. 2 top of the line analysts is who I summon for this one. Akash Chopra in the comforts of his 7-star hotel in Dubai, and Sanjay Manjrekar in the comforts of his 7-star palace in Prabhadevi. Welcome, gentlemen.
Mr. Kapoor, you've got to make your guests feel welcome on the show. Now, by calling my team that I backed to get into the Final Four at the bottom, highlighting that fact, it just sort of, dents my confidence right at the start of the show as an expert.
See, that's the thing, no? You and me are both fans of Ricky Gervais, no? Sanjay Manjrekar. And what do we say? If we just mention a fact, that is what irritates most people. So a fact is that the Sunrisers in these early days, Akash, are bottom of the table. I don't know how much franchises look at the table just yet, but it isn't a great feeling to be the only team to have lost both of their opening games.
See, the good thing is that when you spoke about facts, 7-star palace in Dubai or 7-star
it's not a fact.
Prabhadevi, that did not really ruffle any feathers, so we know where we are heading. But you're right, Sunrise Hyderabad, they are a side that's struggling. Let's be honest, and they'll need some miracle. They'll need a miracle from their top 3 because their bowling is not looking any robust. They've gotten rid of Mohammad Nabi for this game, which also means that there'll be a bit more pressure on the bowling resources that they already were struggling with. So Bhuvneshwar Kumar, the big guys. See, when I look at this game and when I look at this Sunrise Hyderabad's campaign, the only thing that comes to my mind that could be a salvation, and that's the top 3, Kane, Bairstow, Warner in the bowling, Rashid and Bhuvi. They've got 5 match winners. If they stand up and deliver, we have a game on our hands. Otherwise, my pre-tournament favorites are going to just bulldoze another team on their way to the playoffs.
Wow, we're already bringing in our pre-tournament predictions in one way or the other. But Akash Chopra has pointed out the big news from the toss at the Sheikh Zayed Stadium. That's Shreyas Iyer has won it, and he's going to have a bowl. But more importantly for the teams, Kane Williamson makes his first appearance of this year's tournament. So in he comes. Sanjay, we've been saying on our previews to the Sunrisers, not just in this game, but the last, that Kane Williamson is someone that you would like to see part of the 11. He has to come in for a Mohammad Nabi. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, had to, because their batting looks a little thin. In fact, when you look at Sunrisers Hyderabad, I wonder what made me pick them in the Final Four. At the moment, it's a team that doesn't seem to have any exciting replacements as well. Nabi came in the last game hoping to add, some spin and some batting as well to the team. Pitch wasn't suitable. Here again in Abu Dhabi, the pitch is not going to turn. So what few teams have done is they've gone and strengthened one area of their team, and today they've gone with Kane Williamson, which means you're looking at 4 class players at the top. Manish Pandey batting beautifully. There's Abdul Samad who's come in, and I'm hearing some raving reviews about him. So let's hope that is proved right. But you can see the amount of changes that have been made in this team already in the couple of matches that we've seen. So it's a team that's struggling to find the right combination, but I'm happy they've committed themselves to at least one area of the team. It weakens their bowling a bit, but Kane Williamson will at least give their batting a bit of meat.
I'd like to put a few things in perspective on this decision, Akash, of actually leaving Mohammad Nabi out after one game. He bowled 4 tidy overs, and you brought him in. You'd say Nabi's more a bowler. There's no comparing Williamson and Nabi, the batters. But he hardly had, 7 or 8 balls to play in the last game. They got stuck with that Ridhiman Saha inning. And then you've got Priyam Garg and Abhishek Sharma, who are predominantly playing as batters, who haven't got much of a game. So if by bringing in Williamson after just one game to Nabi, in some ways, does that tell you that, they've still not understood what their batting order should be?
And that, is the recipe of success in the IPL, understanding, identifying your ideal 11 right at the beginning. Don't take too much time figuring out what works, what doesn't. I think Kane Williamson, if he was available in the previous game, he should have played that game. He did not. It was Nabi. And now when Nabi plays and, your batting is still struggling a lot, it's top heavy, overly dependent on the 2 openers and Manish Pandey. And now you're going back to Kane Williamson. 2 wrongs will never make a right. But then I still feel, personally, I feel it's not a bad decision because the right call has been taken, albeit a match later. But I'm still not 100% convinced with the changes. because Abdul Samad, of course, he brings more batting, but Abdul Samad, Priyam Garg, Abhishek Sharma at 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd rather have Shahbaz Nadeem. If you're getting rid of Mohammad Nabi, you need those 4 overs. And if you're hoping to get those 4 overs between Abhishek Sharma and Abdul Samad, good luck to you guys. You need at least 180 or maybe nearly 200 runs batting first, because if you're not reaching that far, your bowling is now perhaps a little thin.
Yeah, the other thing that does upset this team to some degree, Sanjay, I wonder what you make of it, is Manish Pandey, you think would therefore bat 4. We saw Manish Pandey's numbers that maybe it's only a question of one position, but he seems to be a different player at 3 when he gets a little more time, and now you put him down at 4. Do they have the versatility in that batting to actually counter these problems that they think they have? Middle order, you still have 3 young guys, then
Yeah.
given Kane Williamson, but it still seems top heavy even with Kane Williamson.
Yeah, when you have young players, you pick out talent with potential. The worst numbers to give them are 5, 6, 7 in T20 cricket. It's just unfair. It's too much pressure. And generally, the match is in a delicately balanced situation. You've got to go in and start hitting. So, because Bairstow and Warner at the top cannot be moved, they can't do anything about all these young players, because most of the franchises who have punted on a young player are trying to push that batsman up the order. Ishan Kishan, for example. So he gets some time and gets a score going. So I think Akash is right. Shahbaz Nadeem, there was scope to get him in. But as I said, limited resources. But Manish Pandey and Kane Williamson, there was a choice between who can bat better at number 4. And I think the right choice has been made. Manish Pandey would be a better number 4 than Kane Williamson.
It's quite funny, actually. It's quite funny, actually, that we are figuring out who is the better number 4 and not who is the better number 3. So thereby you're actually starting on the wrong foot to begin with. But completely agree with Sanjay. Look at all the breakout years for young cricketers. Batsmen. They're all openers. Swapnil Asnotkar, Paul Vathati, Rahul Tripathi. You'll find Shubman Gill, young guy, but get batting at the top, will make the huge difference. Prithvi Shaw. The list is endless. And you will find only one Hardik Pandya, who may have actually made a name for himself batting at number 5, 6, or 7.
Yeah, but he's an all-rounder, so he knows that there's another string to the bow. But when you pick pure batsmen and you bat them down the order, like Ruturaj Gaikwad for CSK at number 4, that's a tough number.
Yeah, you had Devdutt Padikkal this season is the most recent example in that list. But
opening
point very well made indeed. Let's try and figure out a little more about Abdul Samad, though he adds to that trio of Abhishek Sharma and Priyam Garg as the youngsters in the Sunrisers team who need to probably get a hit at some point. At least they won't feel alone. They have the 3 of them for each other's company in that middle order. Akash, Irfan Pathan rates Abdul Samad very highly. What are your impressions of him this very early stage, limited game time that the 18-year-old has had?
See, ideally, they should not be a trio put next to each other. You should try and separate them if possible. Throw one guy at number 3. Take a punt, whether it's Abhishek Sharma, Priyam Garg, or Abdul Samad. I really don't care who that guy is. But don't put them at 5, 6, 7, because you're not doing them any favor by putting them there with the kind of 3 or 4, the top 4 that you have. Whoever can bat at 4 should be asked to bat at 5. That's either it's Manish Pandey or Kane Williamson. But Abdul Samad, it's an exciting story, to be fair, coming from Jammu Kashmir. It's not a state that's produced a lot of cricketers, and their cricketers haven't really been recognized as much either. Parvez Rasool was one guy who actually broke that glass ceiling, so to speak. But before that, they had talent, because I played for Delhi, and it was in our zone. So we got a lot of these games with the Jammu Kashmir side. Saw some talent, but it never really made it to the final stage or the big stage. IPL is providing that opportunity. Irfan Pathan has worked closely with him. So I expect him to know a lot more about Abdul Samad than all 3 of us put together. So let's hope and believe.
But I don't think that's going to happen, Akash. I don't see Kane Williamson and Manish Pandey sacrifice, with their batting positions for a youngster to feel better. The kind of management and selection we've seen so far seems to be more on the safer side. Ideally, you want a young player there, but the problem is Warner, Bairstow, Manish Pandey, and Williamson.
Yeah, it won't happen. It won't happen. But Akash, should it happen? Should it have happened? We discussed whether Sunrisers just needed to have gotten a little creative with their batting order. Maybe not send Riddhiman Shah at the time they did last game. None of these guys have ever had a role at the top of the order to actually have a significant impact. If you are saying the ideal thing for them would have been to send one of these kids up, then playing a Mohammad Nabi would have made more sense, wouldn't it have?
See, the idea is that if there is an early wicket, and that's what T20 teaches us, be flexible. Of course, it's not written in stone. The moment top four are written, and that's how it is going to be, irrespective of when you lose your first, second, or third wicket. I think if you lose a wicket up top, send somebody in, just throw him in and see what happens. He could be, and give him that confidence that you go, you play your game. Abhishek Sharma is supposedly a striker of a cricket ball. But he's not been given that opportunity. So you may actually unearth some talent. So I would say, even though you have Manish Pandey and Kane Williamson, but if you lose a wicket in the first, say, 3 overs, and which is likely to happen, actually, to be honest, look at Delhi's bowling. If that happens, send a young kid in and see, may just
Or
actually
going forward, Akash, what could happen is we'll look at Bairstow's form at the top, because he's a guy who has played down the order in different formats. So he could be somebody who can go down and discover the last 6-7 overs. Let's see whether he can do it. We see a lot of fast bowling in the last 4-5 overs. So Bairstow, depending on his form at the top, then you can have a young player going there. But that's for the future. I think for now they could maybe send in a young player in, ideally, but I don't think that's going to happen.
What you want, if you do try these things, is at least to not face one of the better bowling attacks in the tournament. And that's the next point of discussion. Rabada and Nokia have been very good for Delhi. They've got experienced spinners, and now they've got one of the most experienced Indian pacers. You'll get Ishant Sharma makes his first appearance in this year's tournament. Avesh Khan goes out to one game. So Mohit Sharma game 1, Avesh Khan game 2. But Ishant Sharma, who started off with a bit of a niggle from what we believe is now fully fit and drafts straight into the 11. Akash, first thoughts on that?
It's a near perfect 11. Just add Ravichandran Ashwin to it, and you don't really have to change a thing, to be very honest. Mishra did everything that he was asked to do, perhaps a little better. Akshar Patel has become that kind of a bowler who's giving you 4 overs consistently. Very impressed with the way Iyer is actually leading his resources, because it's not just about having the resources, but using them judiciously is equally important or critical to its success. I think Iyer has been very, very good.
I have a quick question for both of you. When Ashwin comes in, Amit Mishra goes out. That's the obvious swap that is likely to happen. Then you'll have a team that looks really good, but doesn't have a single wrist spinner. Are you okay with that?
Yeah,
going forward,
I'm actually fine.
Okay.
Because see, finger spin, wrist spin, it has to be a quality spinner. It doesn't matter what exactly you're bringing to the table in terms of the variation. It's about how good you are at the execution of your skill. And Ravichandran Ashwin will walk into any side. His T20 numbers are phenomenal. I think at times this wrist spin fascination is slightly overrated.
Or maybe, when the pitches get dry later on, they could have maybe Lamichhane coming in place of somebody like a Hetmeyer who is hardly batted so far for DC. Let's see.
Would you entertain the thought, Sanjay, of not necessarily playing an Indian seamer, with Marcus Stoinis sort of cementing his place as a finisher and as a bowling option, and you've got Nokia Rabada, you will have the spinners. Would you entertain a game which will have Akshar, Ashwin and Mishra and not have an Indian seamer? Just for the... since we are...
Yeah, because I think we've seen what the kind of depth they have with their team as well. You've got Stoinis, you've got Nokia, you've got Rabada. But you want to play Ishant Sharma not just because he's Indian, because he really bowled well last season. Seems to be very relaxed in a T20 environment. Likes to hit the pitch. He's not somebody who will try anything ambitious, bowl the Yorker. So keeps hitting the pitch and uses the surface a lot, which has a bit for the seam bowlers. So the thing with Delhi Capitals is that they've got options. That is where you look at them and you see there are exciting alternatives in the squad for Delhi Capitals at the moment.
Yeah, let's talk.
How's this for the future, actually, since you're talking about the future?
We are going in the future a lot.
Yeah, I know, because Delhi...
when Akash's team makes the playoffs that time. So we are discussing
it. It's like present perfect, future looks outstanding for Delhi Capitals. There could be a day where they say we don't need Nokia. Let's not have Nokia. Let's have Sandeep Lamichhane. So you've got Mishra, not Mishra, Ashwin, Lamichhane and Akshar as 3 spin options. Ishant Sharma and Kagiso Rabada as your 2 frontline pacers. And Marcus Stoinis as a backup. That's like 6 proper bowling options. And all of them can actually give you 4 overs on most days.
Right, let's talk.
So the Delhi Capitals preview show after 6 matches is already done. We don't need to record that.
We can save up. We can save up on some guests for that. For those
don't do that. Don't do that. We won't get paid. Don't give them ideas.
We do it for the love of the game,
Yeah,
Akash. Don't
I was just
forget
going to
that.
say, you think you are otherwise, but anyway, let's focus on Delhi's bowlers a little more. And the conversation I'd love to have with the two of you today is going to be a fascinating first half hour. You've got a Kagiso Rabada against David Warner, Johnny Bairstow. Let's talk a little bit more about Rabada. It's been 16 games on a trot now that he's managed to pick up a wicket. That's an incredible level of consistency, not gone wicketless, where we've seen the likes of Bumrah go wicketless in 2 of 3 games this season. Rabada still has that impact. So I'd love to pick your brains on what makes Rabada click. Yes, he's a world class bowler, but we've seen a Dale Steyn struggle. We've seen other world class bowlers not quite hit the IPL by storm, at least instantly. So what makes Rabada special, Sanjay?
Quick reaction to that, because you really need to analyze properly. But quick reaction is Rabada has got a wicket-taking ball in T20 cricket. For example, I can visualize him bowling to Bairstow, a ball outside the awesome that's leaving Bairstow, who likes to get besides the line. And, he got out, I think, in the last game to a beautiful ball from, I think, Cummins. Who was it? He got
Comments.
out
Yes,
bowled, yeah.
Pat Cummins.
So that can happen with Bumrah in T20 cricket when he doesn't have, to a left-hander, 3 slips and a gully and stuff like that. Like, you need to play shots against him, and then there is a chance of getting out. So Rabada, more wicket-taking bowler in T20 cricket, while the batsmen are defending for a little while, than Bumrah, I guess.
Akash?
Okay. So I'll add a little bit to it. One, the full ball. It is that full ball which is actually fairly quick in the air, and that ball demands a reaction which is aggressive. You cannot defend a full ball. A lot of bowlers are guilty of bowling slightly short of good length because that's where you keep the batsman quiet, and batsman has to actually manufacture a shot to hit a boundary. If you bowl a full ball, it may go for a 4, but then it can also dismiss you in 3 different ways. So that's one. And secondly, a very important aspect, if you compare him with Bumrah, and let's just keep it for this year for the time being, Bumrah is not bowling the overs where he's likely to pick wickets. Delhi Capitals is in a position where they're giving Kagiso Rabada the third over, new ball, new batsman. And where does Bumrah bowl? He bowls number 6th over in that power play overs, comes in the middle overs, one more over to break the partnership, where batsmen actually play him very cautiously. And the last 2 overs, of course, Bumrah is not at the top of his game. I'm not saying that he is, but Rabada is also being allowed to bowl in areas, or rather in phases, where there is a likelihood of a wicket falling, because over number 1 and 3 are likely to give you more wickets than perhaps a number over number 6 in
But
a
I
power
think,
play.
yeah, Ronak, but the reason that we both mentioned the first one of the ball being full and, that typical outswinger is more the reason why he's wicket taking. While we are on the subject of Bumrah, something that I noticed, I'm sure Akash has noticed this much before I had, something that Bumrah does when you watch the highlights, it's very striking. Whatever situation, super over or, with the new ball later, his point of release is from one particular place. He lands in the same place, the wrist is in the same place. I think time has come for Bumrah to start exploring the crease a little bit, because you're constantly a work in progress. He's a super bowler, and all great bowlers also reinvent themselves. So this is something maybe he can add and just give something different to the batsman, angles wise, because it's amazing.
Yeah, I think we're just trying to fix Sanjay's video quality. We'll come back to this discussion. It's a fascinating one about Rabada Bumrah and Rabada's consistency when it comes to taking wickets. Akash, we'll continue the chat in the meantime. And you make a great point of when Rabada's used versus when Bumrah's used. Now, Mumbai happened to have a James Pattinson and a Trent Bolt, which meant Bumrah be used differently. Today, there's Ishan Sharma. We know he bowls with the new ball too. You've got Anrik Nokia. Does a captain or does a management tend to keep their best bowler because he'll get wickets whenever? So you may not give it to Rabada, the new ball, but you have to give it to Ishan. You have to give it to Nokia. How would you like Rabada to be used now that Ishan Sharma also makes the team?
Over number 1, over number 3, Ronak, especially for a side like Sunrise Hyderabad. They have
Yeah.
David Warner, Johnny Bairstow, Manish Pandey, and Kane Williamson to follow. If you broke the top, you break the team, not just the back. You just break them completely, dismantle them. So Rabada should still be bowling those overs. Once again, the question, I keep bringing up this question that we should always ask about the fact that, okay, where is he best at? Who is your best new ball bowler? Rather
Yeah.
than thinking, oh, he can't bowl with the old ball. Because that's a silly argument to have, because that's not the right way to back your resources. Rabada is your number 1 new ball bowler. There are 2 quality openers in the opposition. throw them in. Absolutely, he should be there. And Nokia can wait. Nokia can actually, he's got that hit the deck hard kind of bowler. He can bowl when the ball gets cold. But while the ball is new, you're looking for the wickets. Have a couple of slips in place. Tell everyone, one, of course, I'm bringing my premier bowler. Two, I'm here only to take wickets. You can hit me for a couple of fours, but I am here to dismiss you. I think that
Is
kind
this
of
is this the Bumrah topic still? Is
Yeah,
Akash talking
yes,
about
Sanjay,
Bumrah?
coming to that. Yeah. So exactly
No,
the
but
point.
just imagine, yeah, you've got the new ball, right? And you've got three bowling options. You've got Pattinson, you've got Bolt, and then you've got Bumrah. The new ball's got to go to Pattinson and Bolt, who have a better chance of getting a wicket rather than Bumrah. That is what I feel with the bowling style that Bumrah has. This has got nothing to do with ability and who's greater, who's got a better chance of picking a wicket with the new ball. Bolt and Pattinson ahead of Bumrah, I think, in this format.
Yeah, so I think the point Akash made, Sanjay, is I do you look at it as who's my better bowler at the death or who are my best bowlers with the new ball? Now
Yeah,
in
again, there
Rabada,
the answer is Pattinson and
and
Bolt.
you say
You
for
would think.
Mumbai that Pattinson and Bolt are a better option with the new ball than Bumrah. It's not only because Bumrah is better at the death.
Me thinks. Akash could have another view, but that is what I think.
All right.
See, I would actually get Bumrah definitely before the sixth over, for a couple of reasons. One, his confidence is down. No matter how strong he comes back, the fact is he's conceded 40 runs almost every single
Yeah,
time
that's
that he's
fine.
bowled.
Before six
So,
overs is fine.
you get him. No, you get him not the sixth over actually. Get him in the 1, 2, 3 over. He
Okay,
may
okay.
actually end up picking up the wicket as well. It's not that he can't with the new ball.
Yeah.
It's just that you're picking other resources, thinking that Bumrah is going to be bowling in those overs. So that is also the mindset when you're picking players. There is a Mitchell McClenaghan as well. If there was Mitchell McClenaghan, then who's your best option? There is a Nathan
Then
Coulter Nile.
perhaps
Then the
Bumrah.
option changes again.
Yeah.
So I think it all boils down to where you think your bowlers are ideal to be slotted in. So yeah,
Sure.
in Bumrah's
No,
case,
right.
he's not getting the right overs. My feels.
Brilliant. Let's bring it back to Delhi. Fascinating conversation as we compare the use of Bumrah and the use of Rabada. One thing we noticed last game, Pat Cummins took the new ball against Warner and Bairstow. It seems to be something that we can expect now. The best bowler will bowl to the Sunrisers Hyderabad batsman first up because that's where the meat of the batting lies. Cummins took a round the wicket approach. It seems to be the way to bowl to David Warner. Sanjay, just looking at his numbers, he's uncomfortable with it. He seems to have been dismissed a lot of times with the right arm fast bowler around the wicket. You got Ishant, you got Rabada. That's the way to go.
Yeah, and for the first time in the history of IPL, we're seeing David Warner slightly down on confidence.
Yeah.
He's come with lack of form, not the kind of form that we're used to seeing with Warner in white ball cricket. So he's come with a degree of, self-doubts, and that has exaggerated or accentuated in the matches so far. So yes, you'll see the same ploy, and you'll see this, bowling lineup looking to do exactly what Tom Moody says: attack in the first 6 overs. And I think with Bairstow also, not like last time, and that is where the big difference happened with Sunrisers Hyderabad. Both batsmen not quite up to notch like last year. So yes, two quality bowlers at them. Be fun to watch.
We don't know what
start over the stumps.
Yeah.
But start over the stumps. Yes, around the stumps, numbers are great. You cramp him for room and all of that. But if the ball is swinging, because it might swing early on, first over, second over, third over, there might be something in the air if you're pitching the ball fuller. Take the ball away with Ishant Sharma, just full ball, get driven for a four through covers. It's absolutely fine, but it opens up opportunities of an outside edge, maybe an inside edge, maybe that leg before, because going round the stumps and cramping him for room is actually a slightly defensive tactic, is what I feel. Like Sanjay is saying, if it's down on a little bit of confidence, what do you want to do? You want to go to the attacking option or the defensive option?
Yeah, but then you
choose the
need to have
attacking option.
slips in position, which I think
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of T20 captains
Two slips.
aren't
Two slips.
keen
Two
on
slips.
doing. Gautam Gambhir was one of the exceptions who had catching men to
Yeah.
get the big wicket. But yes, with the over the wicket, what you need is a slip. With round the wicket, you don't necessarily want to have a slip and T20 sort of instincts.
All right, brilliant. We don't know what it's like to see an out of form David Warner in the IPL. Sanjay makes that point.
True.
Rarely have
Yeah.
seen it, and we must admit he did have the most auspicious start to the tournament. Run out, backing up too far, not bunkered it, but run out of the bowler's fingers. So let's see if things change for David Warner today. I'll put the two of you in the spot of in the hot seat of the Sunrisers dugout now, because the next conversation we have is after 20 overs. Let's assume they get a decent start, right? About 11, 12 overs, Warner and Bairstow bat. What do you do with that batting order then? Does Williamson still come in? Do you bring in one of the young kids? Do you take a punt with? Does Manish Pandey come over Williamson then? Sanjay?
Yeah, if you get a good start, overs running out, Manish Pandey comes in. It's a no-brainer because this guy has been playing. He's match ready. He's in form. Unless there's an early wicket, then Kane Williamson comes in and gets into the IPL groove. Otherwise, overs consume, no-brainer. Manish Pandey, number 3.
Then
I
you
think
feeling, Akash, that sometimes you may have to keep pushing Williamson down. Would you?
that's the other problem, because you will end up actually having someone who's got no runs under the belt batting in over number 16, 17, 18, 19. So that's also not the ideal scenario. But I'm okay with it. You'll expect if they lose their first wicket by the 10th, 11th over, or whoever is at the crease at that point in time, West or Warner, you'll back them to bat till the 15th, 16th, 17th over, and then it doesn't matter who comes out to bat. So yes, Manish Pandey should be promoted, but since Kane Williamson is Kane Williamson, pedigree that he has, I expect him to actually be the aggressor also. He may take a couple of balls, of course, no crazy
Yeah, yeah.
but he is pedigree. He has shown us that he can turn it around in T20
Yeah, and
cricket as well.
selfless Akash. He's one of those guys who's not like looking to get a score for himself. He's got the right attitude. Steve Smith as well, Kane Williamson. What makes them great is their mind and their complete commitment to the cause.
Brilliant. The last time Sunrisers batted after 20 overs, we came up with this riveting discussion of the retired out with this same panel. I hope today that they challenge to come up with something even more unique. So join us for what should be a wonderful halftime show, regardless of how this innings goes. Let's hope it's a good one between Delhi and Hyderabad. And we hope to have the pleasure of your company along with Akash Chopra and Sanjay Manjrekar for the mid-inning show on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell.
Thank you.